making your first $100,000 in crypto, especially in other stuff outside of cryptocurrency, making that six figures is super daunting and it can almost feel impossible. But I remember, and I'll take you back when I first started, and I was embedded by literally thousands of coins in 2020 and especially 2021 when there were so new coins, okay? And it was so hard to know where to put your hard-earned money because you don't know what to pick. And that is one of the biggest problems with this bull run that we're facing. Now, I promise you, I will give you some examples on potential coins to look at. But back in 2021, there were so many coins. And now there are literally 100x more coins in this 2025 bull run. And it also reminded me when I used to go to Tesco with my ex-girlfriend and I would look at sweets, you know? And I was addicted to sweets, by the way, and still sort of am. It's a bad flaw. But I would go to this sweet aisle in Tesco. It was always Tesco. And I would look and look and look, and I would get so pissed off because there were so many good options of sweets to buy. But I knew if I bought all the sweets, it would get to the point where I didn't want to eat anymore because I would feel just so sick and disgusted by myself with the sugar crash. And that got me actually very, very fucking mad to the point where sometimes I would go to Tesco, want to buy a sweet, and just literally storm out. The girlfriend would be like, yo, do you know any sweets? And I would just leave, right? And that's exactly how crypto can make you feel. You log on, you're brand new, you log on to CoinMarketCap, and there's literally so many coins, but you might have a budget of $1,000, even $10,000, and you know you can't choose 100 sweets, 100 coins in cryptocurrency. So it can almost make you super overwhelmed from square one, but you know, I will show you some examples of coins, examples of sweets and Tesco's to choose that'll satisfy you, but more importantly, in cryptocurrency, make you some money, right? Now, as Charlie Munger once said, if you don't know, I'll put up a quote, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. So making your first $100,000, like I said, in anything, especially cryptocurrency, is the hardest. Not because you're not capable, but because you're building from complete scratch. Now, of course, in cryptocurrency, you need some money to get started, but there's no roadmap. There's no momentum. It's just raw effort. Now, the good news is we are in a bull run and we will approach Q3 and Q4 2025 bull run. So you're going to have a big advantage, e.g. it's going to make that uphill battle to the 100K way easier. But at the start, you're learning, you're grinding. You're also going to doubt yourself, especially if you have negative people around you that don't typically mean to be negative. I just remember, you know, if I can imagine if I was investing in cryptocurrency and maybe I lived at home, or maybe I had a girlfriend that didn't really believe in the journey because she wanted to go and buy a cute handbag or a fucking holiday. And she's like, well, why are you doing this? I speak to so many guys that just join our community and their wives and etc. are always on the fence. And it's hard to get in the mindset of thinking, well, if this is even worth it, because there's only so much bad influence that can come in that can really affect how you play this bull run. Now, at start, it feels slow. You know, it feels impossible, but it's not. And once you hit this $100,000, I promise you, everything changes. Because number one, you get proof that the family can leave you alone and the girlfriend can just say, okay, well, maybe Bob, Jim, Jake knows what he's doing. And you build this massive sense of confidence. You've got leverage as well, which easy to scale to $1 million. For example, if you have $1,000 and you're trying to go to $100,000, that's 100x. Hard to do, not impossible. Once you get to 100K, it's like for some people, again, no right size strategy fits all. You can kind of ignore like the super low market caps for the 100K or e.g. the 100x that you had to do, because now the $1 million is only a 10x play. You can get away with bigger market cap coins and you can take some money outside of cryptocurrency if you want to start some sort of business to fund this 100K to the $1 million. Okay, so it's very hard, and that's why Charlie Munger says the first 100,000, it is a bitch and it takes so long to do. And of course, the other thing is when you have literally nothing or $1,000, $5,000, it's like when you first make six figures, it's like you want to protect that, right? Because if you lose it, you know how hard it was to get that. So my goal in this video, after that long introduction, is to give you a roadmap if I was starting again today on how I would hit my first $100,000 in cryptocurrency in the safest way, but also reasonably quick. Now, the good news is we are in a bull run for 2025. Even though prices might be going down, they might be going sideways, etc., etc. I promise you in Q4, especially, you have this like upward momentum where it's going to make the game easier rather than 22 and 23 when really you couldn't really do anything. It was always just about putting cash flow in. But if you have a low amount of money, in a bull run, it can get to $100,000 very fast. Now, number one, speed and safety is key, okay? Because if you want to do it fast, I believe there's only 3 ways to do this in under 6 months. Now, not 6 years, not 60 days, about 180 days. And that is fast for some people, but it's also very slow for other people. And then I would have to ask you, well, nothing's going to change your life in any 6 months anyway. So, from the last 6 months, have you made 100K? Well, no, is probably the answer for some people. Maybe some people it is yes. But for the guys that said no, it's like, okay, well, it's going to happen anyways. You're going to live your life anyway. So 6 months is still 6 months. So if you have a small amount of money, stocks aren't going to get you there. That's just reality. Unless you find the next Nvidia, the next Tesla back in the day, the next Amazon. But primarily, you have to wait 6 years. And the ones that you maybe wait 6 months when Nvidia start to go on a tear, you have to kind of get super lucky, right? Because in the normal S&P 500, I think the S&P 500 and other, companies or other stocks that track the top 500 companies, etc., it's a great thing to do once you get rich. But at the start, 10% is not going to do anything. Right, 10% of $1,000 is what, $1,100 at the end of the year on average. So congratulations, you earned $100. You're miles away, and you had to wait 1 year. Now, number one is you could win the lottery. Okay, hard factor is 10 out of 10. Not going to happen. Super, super lucky to even do that. So don't even play it. It's a waste of time. Number two is you could build a business. Hard factor 7 out of 10. Especially to get the net of $100,000 in your first 6 months. Very hard to do unless you know what you're doing and you've been there, done that. And again, revenue in a business is not profit. We're talking about profit here is the most important thing, money in our back pocket that we can invest elsewhere. And obviously that brings us to cryptocurrency. You could also look at real estate as well. But again, I just think, no, ignore it. It's very messy. And if you get it wrong, you can get it really wrong. And going into debt, in my opinion, is not good when you're starting out. 3 is crypto. Hard factor, in my opinion, is 3 out of 10. If you know what you're doing in cryptocurrency, at times like this, again, we have the advantage of this upward momentum. If I was to make this video in 22 and 23, I would have to make it for like the next 2 years, right? Because yes, you can make some trades, etc., but I'm just talking about investing. If you look at Q3, Q4, that's why I rate this a 3 out of 10. Now, it's still going to be hard, and it's still going to be, some FOMO, some fear, etc., depending on how the market goes in the short term. But you have this upward momentum of the cycle. Now, that's why I believe cryptocurrency, if your goal is 100K in another 6 months, that is where I would look at doing this. And you already know that because you're watching cryptocurrency videos anyways. So here is the clear, realistic breakdown of how typically people reach the first $100,000 in crypto. Now, of course, there's other ways you can do it, but I'm just going to talk about my personal way and what I think is I can relate to, because this is stuff that I've literally done and I'm literally doing today. So I'm not going to talk about trading, but you can trade your way there. And if you're doing that, that's fine. But the statistics say that most people in trading lose money. So managing your first 100K in crypto is possible, but it requires a combination of knowledge, risk management, timing, and discipline. The good news is I'm going to break it down for you on showing you exactly how I would do that, because I've went from pretty much 100K to $1 million. I think my portfolio right now is about $880,000. I'll share that probably at the end of this video, but for those old subscribers, I've shared it many, many times. Step number one is starting with a strong foundation, and you have to be real with yourself. So if you're over the age of 18 and you have $500 to your name, I don't care on the situation. I get it, but like the world doesn't care. Okay. And if you're trying to come into cryptocurrency with $500 and do that to 100K, I promise you, you will lose, and cryptocurrency doesn't care. It will spit you back up, it will chew you up, and it will spit you so hard, and you're going to lose the $500 to your name. So you got to get a better paying job. You got to become useful to the world, because I could love to give you 100x meme coin. Okay. On this channel, or an AI gem, but that would be reckless. I've shared many risky positions that I'm in. For example, Brett's doing super, super well in a liquidity pool. We'll probably talk about that later, but I don't want you to bet your last $500 on Brett, for example, because that would be doing you a disservice, because I don't know if it's going to do well. I just start to fill up these small gaps. E.g., I wanted a meme coin that I think would do well on the base chain, because Coinbase, I haven't listed it yet. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I already built up, the initial deal flow in my portfolio before. And then I started to fill up little voids that I would come into a little bit next. And we're going to talk about that at the end of the video, because it's super important. But most people with $500, they come in cryptocurrency thinking they can pull 100 grand on a meme coin or out of just thin air. And I used to think this. I know many people that still think this right now. I promise you, man to man, this is just the reality. It's not going to happen. Cryptocurrency would be such a better game to play without lottery bets on all of your money. And I think it's very important to actually have something paying you in the real world, so you can take these bets and you still have guaranteed income. Now, step number two is you have to invest consistently, right? If you're doing a DCA strategy, which means dollar cost average, pretty much a fixed amount, e.g. $100 a week, $1,000 a month, $5 a day, it doesn't really matter. You're consistently setting up something that can DCA. Or you could do a lump sum, okay, on a big spot position, big time opportunities. Again, I always show this. I'll show it right now. When we had that little whoopsie doopsie on coins like Render on pretty much the 7th of April at $2.70, I started to buy, not DCA, I've been DCAing for a while, but I seen this opportunity and I was like, yeah, we could go lower, but I would rather just do a lump sum and set and forget about it. And these positions are up massively. Again, you could see Solana was on a big dip there, actually went below $100, which I thought was super undervalued. And again, in less than 2 to 3 weeks, it literally made you so much money. So again, there are opportunities for lump sums. There are opportunities for DCA. You just have to understand the coins that you like, e.g. strong assets that I would believe in, you probably believe in too, even if you have them or don't. You would argue that Render, Solana, Sui are probably going to be here for this bull run. The next bull run, we're not really interested right now. We can evaluate that as we get there. But again, Sui, $1.80. Almost a 2x in literally under a month. And that just comes down to fear and greed. You know, if you go back here to the fear, okay, we were at levels of 15, 17. Under 20 is usually when it's a good time to buy on solid assets. It won't be a good time to buy because it's super risky on meme coins, although it can play off well. But you never know with some of these early coin meme coins because that might just be the last downfall before they go to zero. So that's step number 2. You have to know if you're DCN, okay, and you can do both, or you have to spot when there's a big opportunity, e.g. we get a big crash, and a spot lump sum would do well. But again, that spot lump sum is not going to do well if you got $500 because it's not going to do any damage. Now, if you are new, I'll be honest with you, it will be super hard to buy these big drops because you think the game is over. E.g. a month ago, everybody was crying how the cryptocurrency bull market was over. Back in January, when everybody was Donald Trump's best friend, we thought we're off to the races. It's just so funny how people's mind can change. And now we're kind of oh yeah, we could be off to the bull run. We could not be. Bro, we're in a bull run. Just understand the 4-year cycle. You must be able to take advantage of this on these dips on your strong blue chips. That's the most important thing because most people will buy green and they will sell red. You have to understand if you're going to take this seriously to buy red and sell green. Because here's a little analogy I got for you, and this just really takes us back to April 7th and what I'm trying to explain here. If you get this backwards, you might as well give up on cryptocurrency. And it really pains me to think that or say that because I want you to all fucking win on cryptocurrency. But if you can do the opposite, you're never going to have to worry about the crypto game again. Even if you take some losses with some coins, you're always going to come up on top. If you do this backwards, you're going to lose. So if your goal is to be the guy on the left compared to the guy on the right, you will win. So the guy on the left, okay, so what does he think? The market's dipping. Okay, again, just the perfect example was April 7th. It was a perfect opportunity. We can really show this analogy. Market's dipping on my solid coins. I believe we're going to be here for this 2025 bull run. He's like, cool, I'll buy some more DCA time. The Jeffrey of this analogy is like, oh, market's just crashed. I need to sell now. I'm going to wait for a pump to get back in because it's too risky. And I really hope, before I really explain it a little bit more, you can see the effing difference here. Because if you don't, just give up. And where does this guy buy and sell? Well, he would play these 3 coins based on his crypto mindset. So again, if we take Solana, if we take HBAR, and we take Sui, what he would do is he would start to see a big pump up on Solana. He would start to buy, then he sees a big drop. Okay, he starts to sell, he starts to panic. And then he sees a big pump up, he starts to buy and he starts to sell. Okay, same thing on HBAR. Big pump up, buy, he just does everything really, really retarded. And difference is 2025 is what we're hoping for right now. He'll get super excited again at the peak, he'll buy and he'll panic and sell low. He'll do this on every single coin, HBAR, Sui. And again, I really hope you can see the difference on something compared to this guy. Now, again, you're never going to time it perfectly. That's not the point. You don't have to time cryptocurrency perfectly to make that first 100K, to make that first million. Depends on what your goals are. So if you look at this guy, where does he buy and sell on these 3 example coins based on his crypto mindset? So when he sees, now again, this was the biggest mindset. I was a Jeffrey in the last bull run. I did not do this, but now I'm prepared to take those lessons and scars and 4 years wasted of my life to play the normal game of cryptocurrency. With Solana, if he sees this, he sells. And here's the kicker. If he still believes in Solana for 2025, of course we know the future in this because this is already played out, he would start to buy this like a madman. If he sees a pump and it's maybe overextended, he would sell or do nothing. You can do both. And again, if he sees a big dip like we just showed you, he would buy. And again, 2025 scenario for the Solana example is he sells peak. Ideally, he scales out in chunks if that's 20% out along the way. And again, the kicker is 26, 27, he buys low if he still believes in Solana for the next run. HBAR, same thing. Sells, buy. If he still believes in it, he sells or do nothings, he buys. Guess what? Same scenario. He buys HBAR in a bear if he still believes in HBAR for the next run. And it's the exact same thing with Sui. You get the point. So Who do you want to become? And this is a serious question. Drop it in the comments below. Who do you want to become? And have you got the capability to change your mindset and handle your emotions to buy when it's tough and not to be greedy when FOMO is here and take profits later this year? Now, again, it's very hard to just say, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but it's super hard to actually follow through. And I'll be 100% honest on those coins, Render, on those coins, Solana, on those coins, Sui, whatever in these dips were, doesn't matter. It was hard for me to start to deploying 5 figures into cryptocurrency and GBP on these coins because, yes, I believe they're going to go up in 2025, but I really didn't want to start buying and it really starts to dip. It's hard to do that, but over time, if you just do that, and you ignore the noise and you just do the opposite of this guy, what I've just taught you there, super easy, but nobody does it, you'll make all the money in cryptocurrency and you'll very easily attain the first 100 grand, okay? Now, step number 3 is going to be focus on high conviction narratives. Very, very obvious. We can look at previous bull runs, previous cycles, etc., and we can understand this. Different cycles, specific trends outperform. It happened in 2021. It was so obvious looking back when you're in the weeds of it and it's your first bull run like I had to stomach by myself. You didn't really know what's going on. All that was really going on was we're making so much money until the bubble popped and we lost it all. In 2020, we had DeFi summer. Okay, that was early adopters of Aave, Uniswap, etc. In 2021, I'm sure you remember, we had NFT booms, flipping or holding blue chips like CryptoPunks, Gaming, Sandbox, Maxi, Infinity, Gala Games, and of course meme coins. Now again, it doesn't take a genius to come back in the 2021 run and just see gaming coins went absolute crazy. I mean, just look at the Sandbox. Absolute disgusting gains in a good way. And then you had, of course, decentralized mana went absolute crazy. Of course, Axie Infinity, one of my friend's biggest coins, went absolute crazy, 100x plus. And Gala Games, I caught a 10x on this, but I obviously rid it all the way back down, was easy returns. So if you can understand that, and by the way, I think gaming is going to be a caveat of this bull run because it actually provides real world value. I just don't think people are realizing it right now. And again, usually gaming is a later part of the narrative to pump. And again, 2021, Solana really started to go in about the July to kind of August time when it really went literally vertical. And then you look at, for example, AVAX started to go a couple months after that. And obviously Terra Luna was great until it wasn't. And that just really went absolutely crazy. And then you can look at, for this bull run, 2023, I guess you could say, to 2025, that's where you can look at AI coins, AI agents, many more. And the most important thing with this is being early and identifying trends gives you asymmetric returns. And of course, meme coins. So again, being early in coins like Render, of course, Render isn't $2.70 anymore, but it's still a long time off its all-time high. And that's when you can look at coins like Virtual's Protocol, for example. A quick one on Virtual's Protocol. The reason why I think it's still alive is because obviously it had its big pump, its big dump, but you just look in the last 1 month, for example, it's almost 240%. So this shows to me, or it's a great sign, not guaranteed, not foolproof, that it is still alive, because most coins that do this eventually just go to zero. The fact that people are still buying this and it's now back over $1 billion market cap kind of shows some potential. Again, I'm not telling you to buy any of these coins. I'm just showing you on data in real time what typically happens with narrative situations. Number 4, and this is very, very important, you've got to use crypto native strategies. Now, there's a couple of things I like, there's a couple of things I don't like on this list, but I'm going to give you them all. So you can stake, okay? Staking is pretty passive. You can earn yield on most platforms, Crypto.com, Coinbase, Kraken. And I don't really like this for a couple of reasons. Well, number 1, it's not your keys, not your coins. And of course, we knew what happened to Celsius back in the day. And if you don't, pretty much they rugged us and we lost all of our money. Painful lesson to experience again, but it is what it is. You don't learn what you don't learn. And again, with staking platforms, for example, HBAR on Hashback, I would love to use DeFi on this, but unfortunately you can't because there's not enough volume there. You can go and stake that. You can get 4% a year, but again, most of the time you have to lock up these coins for months and if not even years. And that's not ideal if HBAR started to go again. Just for example, if I had to lock up HBAR for 3 months, let's just say HBAR literally went to 10x tomorrow. The problem is I can't sell it. So I like full control. Again, learning my lessons from Celsius, etc. So you can use strategies. What we like and what we teach is DeFi strategies. You can provide liquidity. My favorite, and what I've done for pretty much over a year now, e.g. a Brett pool. I started a pool on Brett, give or take June time, full control, my keys, and you can leave where you want, plus it prints a fuck ton of money. And I'll show you this right now. So here's the difference when you look at people that DCA, etc. So as you guys know, I've got a lot of money in Brett and a lot of money in Ethereum, but the difference is I started this pool, give or take June of last year when I was in Dubai. So it's almost 1 year anniversary for Brett. And you know what's interesting? If you look at the chart on Brett since June, it's pretty much at the exact same price. And here's why DeFi can be so good if you know what you're doing. The keyword, if you know what you're doing. I'm going to give you again for free. Anyway, so if you look at Brett went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. And for 1 year, if you didn't sell, you made no money. The difference is on Brett, I've made about $40,000 because I've been in this pool. I've never came out of range. That's something you need to understand about ranges, etc. So every time when Brett up, I was buying Brett for free and buying Ethereum for free. Then it started to go down. I was buying it for free, etc., etc. Again, it's basically like staking, but you earn way more because you're actually providing a real world service and you can leave whenever you want. So, and the guys that bought Brett for 1 year, they made no money. Again, I still think Brett's going to do super well, so they will make money, or I wouldn't hold it anymore. But my scenario, with a decent chunk of money, made about $40,000 of 50% in Ethereum and 50% in Brett. So even if Brett went to shit, I still have the Ethereum bag that will save me. And that's the beautiful thing about it, if you know what you're doing. So again, full transparency, I will show you this on screen because a lot of people just do a lot of talking and they don't walk the walk. So again, here is my last month's performance. Yields can go up, yields can go down. You can see my best day last month was about $240. I'm pretty much consistently making about $100 a day. You can see in the last 30 days, because Brett is starting to come back, my pool on that is pretty much $24,000. So again, not trying to sell you this, is just an example. I'm giving you it for free, so you can't say I'm trying to sell you it. But every single day, even as I'm making this video today, if the market goes up, great. If the market goes down, or if it chops sideways, we sit back and we collect either way. That is the biggest kicker. And again, why I always like this, because I just gave you the example. Brett is at the exact same price today. In fact, Ethereum probably is as well. In fact, Ethereum's probably down a little bit. The fact that I've been in this pool for a year, I did nothing, that just shows you the difference, because all the guys that have been in this for Brett for a year, and there's been other opportunities like AI agents like Render, they might as well just bought Bitcoin because Bitcoin's outperformed Brett. But in the long run, obviously, I think Brett will outperform Bitcoin, but I have both anyways. But for 1 year, it's no brainer because I'm just collecting every single day. And again, the Brucey bonus compared to the HODL, I'm up $22,000 compared to the HODL strategy, because obviously Brett's up a little bit, obviously Ethereum's a little bit down, but compared to HODL strategy in the last 1 year, I'm up 22,000 better off. And again, this doesn't include all the tokens I've accumulated for Brett when Brett starts to go, if it starts to go, obviously it's a regular play. When Ethereum does start to go, that is when this $22,000 turns into 100K, 200K, 300K, God knows, it depends how far these coins can go. But that's the difference if you know what you're doing. Now, number 5 is how to multiply during bull markets. Now, most people think making their first $100,000 during a bull run, not in a sideways market. Now, the good news is we should be en route to that. Like I said, this is almost like, I don't want to say it's perfect time, but it's like, it's way better to make a video like right now, unless we're in the peak bear of 2022, because it's like, oh, you can make a video on this, but you have to wait 2 to 3 years. So that was the time, not trying to give you guys FOMO. The bad news is it comes super fast. E.g., if you're not prepared, you will miss majority of the gains in this period. So again, just taking a look at the last bull run, every coin basically went vertical, especially the lower caps. Now, again, this is what gets me super excited for you guys of what's to come. So, for example, Veracity, just example coins in 2021, you had a very short amount of time to make some gains on this. Of course, we know Dogecoin did super well in the last bull run, probably going to do well in this bull run. And as you can see, literally the most vertical chart I've ever seen. And this happened so fast. Now, as we know, Virtual's protocol, again, has had kind of 2 waves, but currently right now it's starting to have that kind of second wave. But this wave came in so fast, a lot of people got rich, a lot of people bought the top, and they're riding all the way down. Remember, step 2 or step 3, whenever I gave you it was, you don't want to be the Jeffrey, you have to think to do the opposite. So again, I'm super excited because this bull run's going to be crazy. But the caveat of that is, I know the majority, I don't want to say the majority, but some of the subscribers on this channel, although I love you, I want you to do super well, you will do this backwards. So if I can just help 1 person, 10 person, 1,000 people just understand that the bull markets happen so fast, and you have to ignore your fear and your greed, because once you get higher, you have to take profit. So you'll be like me that lost everything in 2021. If you can do that, your first $100,000 can be so easy. Even if you get to $60,000, it's still good to come back and ride the next bull run. Now, a spin-off to number 5 is you have to understand to multiply during the bear markets 2.0. Now, this is, didn't really want to give you this, but I know a lot of people get excited when I talk about this stuff. So you don't have to do this, by the way. And this is a 2.0 version because you don't have to do it, but it can further multiply your gains. And I call this a 2.0 version, but also, disclaimer, enter at your own risk, because People always ask, when is alt season, right? And the most important part of that is you don't focus on the date, but you understand money flow. Duration of the phases are parabolic, meaning the first and longest goes the fastest. And then you get phase overlap, which can temporarily reverse, and you have to prepare accordingly. E.g., on this graph on the screen right now, you have phase 1 Bitcoin. Then money starts to go to Ethereum. Then money starts to go to large caps. Then money starts to go to alt season. Look at 2021's run. Bitcoin started to go. Ethereum started to go. Solana started to go. Dogecoin started to go. ADA started to go. XRP didn't really go because of the lawsuit. VR8 started to go. The smaller the market gap, it usually works in tandem with this, but it's not foolproof. That's why I said enter at your own risk. But pretty much all the time, it's a good hit rate, if that makes sense. So e.g., take Bitcoin profits first, ETH profits, okay, bank some to cash because you don't want to roll over 100% because that's how you get wrecked if you choose a bad coin. And then what half of that cash you can do is you can enter other coins that you like and you believe in that haven't really moved yet, and that's called the rollover phase. Now, again, you get to potential ride more coins because, again, think about Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin, I don't know, $10,000, for example. You sell at 60. If you had one, you get the point. You made a 60K from like 10K. It doesn't really matter, right? But if you then take away, let's just say 30K to the bank, so you've guaranteed profits, but then you take 30K and you put it in, I don't know, HBAR in the last bull run and VRA, you can furthermore take that 30K and easily turn that into 120K with just a 4X because these coins haven't moved yet compared to 60K and now potentially 150K or even more, depends how far you want to go down the line. But that's why I say enter at your own risk because a lot of people will not do this correctly. But, as long as you're banking profits from that initial Bitcoin trade for that example, you will still make money and you will learn a valuable lesson if you do it wrong. But regardless, you will leave the bull market with money. But you don't want to get caught in dead coins, okay? This is another way to really rinse the first 100K on a small amount. And again, here's some examples here. If Bitcoin, okay, enters at 60K on November 5th, what you could have done on November 5th is Gala Games, and I literally did this, by the way. The problem was I didn't exit Gala Games, so I did everything correct, but I didn't leave Gala Games, and I read it all the way fucking down. And the problem was the Bitcoin profits went into Celsius, which is another story we already talked about. Alex Mashinsky scammed us, and we lost that money as well. But the good news is my $500,000 lesson, I guess you could say 950K because I pretty much lost everything, is your $1,000 lesson, okay? So if you made a mistake on $1,000, you can take my 950K on the opposite of what I'm going to show you here and just take that to the bank. You don't have to make the mistake of almost $1 million. I'm giving you it for free. So November 5th, Bitcoin starts to move. 61K was pretty much it. You could take over that profits. November 5th, if you look at Gala Games, it kind of had its first initial wave, if you see here, but then it really started to go. But again, you had 10 to 14 days to do this or you missed it. And again, it's fine missing it. You already made your money on Bitcoin. Again, hard to know the strategy, but again, you could bank even 90% of your Bitcoin trade here, 10% into Gala, roll over, and that's going to happen a lot, in my opinion, still in this bull run. So again, I hope you understand what I'm kind of meaning here. You ride at one coin, you take some profits. You don't have to, but I would, to the bank. And then you choose another coin that you like that hasn't really moved yet. And typically with that scale before, Bitcoin, Ethereum, large caps on screen right now, usually if it's a good project, it'll start to go. And here's the kicker: in 2021, the projects were shit, but they still went because the market caps were so low. 2025, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I know it's going to be the case for most coins, but you're not going to have a 100% success rate. Let's just put it that way. Not every coin is going to go because, number one, there's way too many supply of coins for the demand, in my opinion. But we'll see how that one plays through. Number 6 is take profits and manage risk. You don't need to be a genius to understand how many times I've told you my story of losing everything. Take profits and manage risk. Do not ride everything to zero, okay? Set price targets, e.g. 20% or 25% at 2x, 4x, etc. Again, quick example of HBAR. You could take your initial 20% out depending on your entry. Of course, my entry is probably a lot better than yours if you're buying right now, but that's, the point is just to make money. You can maybe take your initial profits about 40, 45, 49 cents. Again, the previous 2021 run. You could take your next 20% at about 74. You could take your next 20% at maybe just under $1, just over $1. You could leave a moonshot bag in for 150 or 2, but if you don't hit that, okay, you start to write it back down. You maybe realize, okay, the bear market is probably coming in on HBAR. There's maybe some other plays you could run to, but if you're just playing HBAR by itself, you could then also take profits on the way back down, because if you're entering at 17, you can still take it on the way down if you believe HBAR's hit is peaked. Or you could just ride the rest of shit, but you've already took out 60% and you still make all the money, plus you still hold HBAR for the next bull run. Many ways to play it. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, the main message there is if you don't take profits, you're going to be like me and many other people in this bull run that are 4 years, 5 years down the line with still no profits yet. So that is the most important thing. Now, don't chase pumps. Buy early. or wait for corrections. Super, super important. We've already talked about that. Never let your little monkey mind stop you from taking profits, because 100K is nice. Okay, and if you've done 2K, 5K, 10K to 100K, you'll be like, oh, I've done a 10X from 10K. I only need to do a 5X to 500K. But I promise you, just please take the 100K and maybe leave 20K in, or take 80. You get the point, right? Do not ride it all the way back down. And you have to survive the bear market, accumulate during fear, and not hype. Good luck, brother. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Now, share it if you liked it. I'd appreciate that. If you have a crypto bro, go and share it with him. Maybe you can help him. But I'll see you in the comments. And yeah, peace and take care.